So welcome to this video. My name is Alex and this video is called Know Thy Enemy. So in this video I'm going to get straight to the point. I'm going to explain to you exactly what the enemy is and how the enemy operates so that you can be wise and alert to its tactics. And once you're alert to its tactics, they cannot work on you anymore. The enemy cannot manipulate you anymore because the enemy is manipulating you day in, day out. And it's got you distracted. It's got you looking out there in the outside world, finding those who are your opponents, judging others, criticizing others, even hating others. And that's a diversion tactic to get you looking anywhere but where the enemy truly is. And the enemy is in here. The enemy dwells in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is a metaphor for our thinking mind. The enemy is the serpent, which whispers to us day in, day out, telling us to believe its stories, telling us to believe what it tells us about ourselves, weakening us, trying to undermine the very structure of our being, trying to make us afraid, trying to weaken our heart so that we will allow fear to take root in our heart. So the enemy is essentially that voice, the voice of the serpent, which dwells in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, your mind, which is essentially speaking negative words, cursing you, in fact. It's cursing you. The things it tells you are curses. If you believe them, they become true. So its prime job is to get you believing what it tells you. It's that voice in your mind. You could call it the voice of the ego. But essentially it's a voice which wants you weak. It wants you disempowered. It wants you believing the stories. It wants you to feel like there is no hope. It wants you to be under a complete illusion about what this voice truly is. So, we see in the media the idea, we see all these scary movies about this, how big and terrifying evil is, and this, the serpent is this great powerful monster that's going to devour us. And that's, again, it's the way that this voice stops us from honing in on it and seeing exactly what it is. When we find that voice, we find the source of that voice, then we find out that it is only a voice. Only a voice. And our sole prerogative should be to ignore that voice. That's all you have to do. Ignore the voice. So essentially, if you're listening to any negative thoughts in your mind, any negative thoughts, not intelligent thoughts, any negative thoughts, thoughts of fear, thoughts of criticism, thoughts of judgment, thoughts of being superior or inferior, thoughts of lack, essentially any negative thoughts, then you're listening. Those thoughts are coming from the voice of the enemy, the voice of the serpent in the tree, which wants you to bite into its apples. The story of the Garden of Eden is a perfect metaphor because all these apples hang tantalizingly in our mind and the serpent wants us to bite into them. So what are these apples? These apples are the thoughts. There's all these thoughts in our mind, thoughts about a million different things. And what the serpent wants us to do is to bite into those apples, which means enter into the reality of those thoughts. And they're thoughts which can take us a million miles away into a million different directions. Anywhere but away from where we really belong, which is our heart. This is the tree of life. Our heart is the tree of life. And it's the only place where we can experience peace, freedom, true security, true safety, love, communion with that divine force of love which many call God, which I call God. Our heart is the only place where we can get what we truly need, where we can encounter God. Our heart's like a radio receiver. If God's broadcasting, then our heart is the radio receiver. And that radio receiver, it's got to be tuned into the right station. So you could say that there are two different channels. And there's the channel of our mind, channel of thoughts. So we tune into the voice of the serpent and we listen to what it tells us. And the music that comes through this speaker So it's probably more accurate to say that our heart is like a speaker. Our heart is like a speaker, and we are like a radio receiver. And we can listen to many different channels, but essentially there are two main channels. The channel of your thoughts, your conceptual mind, and there's a channel of your heart. And whichever one we tune into, the music, the vibration comes through our being. And we feel, because music is all about feeling. So whichever channel we tune into, whether we tune into this voice or this voice, we feel the consequences reverberate through our being. And that's our emotions, essentially. Our emotions are like reverberations, which are coming through this speaker. And so we can have fear in our heart, which always comes from here, by the way. Fear always comes from a thought, always. It might be a thought of something bad's going to happen. It's usually a thought that something bad's going to happen. Or it might be a thought of, I'm not safe. But essentially it comes down to a thought, always. Fear comes down to a thought. And that's the, how can you say this? That's the interference. Because if we don't listen to those thoughts, then we can experience reality. So those thoughts want to tune us out. They want to tune us out from reality, because reality is experienced in our heart. And reality is an experience of expansiveness, of love, of peace, joy and happiness. Very simple things. And I'm not just talking ideas here. I'm not just talking airy-fairy, head in the clouds, la-la land stuff. This is real. You know, I've been on this path for 20 years trying to understand the source of truth and what truth is and how God communicates with us. So this is very practical. What I'm communicating to you are very practical things. You have a choice what you listen to. You can listen to this, or you can listen to this. To listen to this, to hear this, you've got to tune out from this. You've got to stop believing all the negative thoughts. God has a voice, and it speaks to you in your heart. And essentially, if God's voice was to be put into words, he would say, relax. I'm protecting you. You are loved. You are safe. I want to strengthen you. I'm going to help you be strong. I'm going to empower you to be strong, to be untouchable, to deal with all the challenges that are going to come in your life. I want to make you strong. I'm going to prepare you so that you will always have what you need. There is no reason to fear. There's no reason to be afraid. There's no reason to be anxious. I will give you what you need. Stay close to me. That's essentially what God wants us to understand and wants us to know. But to hear that message, and we really do need to hear it ourselves, because it comes from within our own heart. You don't just have to believe me, you have to tune in to the communication of God within your own heart. So to hear that, we have to stop listening to the voice of the enemy, or the voice of the ego, if you will. It's the same thing. The best way to understand the ego is that it's a parasite, and it wants food. And the food it gets from us is the negative emotions. So what the ego does, it gives us a negative thought. It can give us a positive thought, but even the positive thoughts lead to negative thoughts, because it's a realm of duality. You can't just choose one side of the coin. You take both. You buy into both sides. It's like the yin and the yang. You buy into both sides of the coin when you choose that reality, which is this dualistic conceptual reality of the ego. And so it'll get you involved in some thoughts, any thoughts, it doesn't really matter, because it knows that all thoughts take you away from here. All thoughts get you building castles in the sky, and you try and dwell in those castles, and you find that there's no warmth. Life is empty, there's nothing there for you. And our thoughts always, essentially, will generate negative emotions. And it's those emotions that the ego feeds off. It's a parasite, and it's deluding us with all these ideas, getting us distracted in the realm of thought, so that we can generate negative emotions, and it can feed off those emotions. It's really important to understand this. The ego is not our friend, and in fact, we don't need to listen to it at all, and I mean at all. Because there is another radio station, another voice that we need to listen to. And if we only listen to that voice, then we will reverberate with the truth of God. We will reverberate with the love of God, with the peace of God. We will be happy. We will be joyful. We will be strong. And this is the most important thing. We need to be strong because this enemy, the enemy is working on us. It's a battle. And the battle is, are you going to be weak or are you going to be strong? And you have to choose strength. The only way to win this battle is to choose to be strong, because you need to be strong to deal with what challenges you will face. And you can't escape from the challenges of life. And they're actually there to make you stronger as well. So if we rise, because we see a challenge and we kind of collapse. We think, I can't possibly climb that mountain, I can't possibly deal with this. And again, our own thoughts defeat us before we've even attempted to rise to the challenge. So it's important to build a foundation of strength. That means a strong body, because a strong body means a strong mind and a strong heart. And we need all three to be strong. Essentially, we need a disciplined mind. So when we're used to kind of opening the gates to any thought, we're used to opening the gates and allowing any thought to come in and gain access to our heart. And that means that we're allowing the enemy access to our heart, where it can cause pain, it can cause fear, it can cause disappointment, it can cause anger, all kinds of turbulent emotions. It can create in our heart if we give it access. So a disciplined mind is essential so that we can say, no, I'm not going to buy into that thought. I'm not going to bite that apple, because I know where it leads and I know where it comes from. And I know who wants me to bite into that apple. It's the enemy, it's the ego. So it's very important to become aware of what's going on in our mind so that we can choose where we put our attention. Choosing where to put your attention is the highest practice of intelligence, because everything else stems from there. Everything else flows from there. And so essentially it's a case of, what are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen? Because we can dwell here, we can spend all our time here. We can think all day long, all week long. We can think for months and even years on end, and people do, and people are thinking. And that's where the enemy wants you. And so our challenge, or our journey, is to relocate from here to here, so that we become a more feeling person, a more sensitive person, a more loving, compassionate and understanding person, so that we seek to understand others rather than judge them. And when I say understand others, I don't mean understand what they're telling us, understand the ideas, but really understand the person. If we can understand people, then we will never have an enemy ever again. Because of course, you probably understand this already, that all dysfunctional, destructive, antisocial behavior comes from pain. And so you can't really judge another person. You can't be angry with another person. You can't despise another person who's in pain and is acting out their pain, because they're wounded. And so it's this understanding which helps us to be more compassionate of all people. And there will be people who judge you, there will be people who insult you, there will be people who hate you and spread negative rumours about you. There's nothing you can do about that. The important thing is that you don't get caught up in the drama, because people don't like to be judged, people don't like to be talked about, but then we get caught up in the drama, and this part of us that wants to control, because the ego, it only wants to control. It's a control mechanism, and it controls us, and it makes us control the things around us. It makes us control the people around us, our life circumstances. So you know that the ego has got a hold of you when you are feeling like you want to control things, when you're being a controlling person, controlling your children or controlling anything. You know that the ego is manipulating you with fear. because it's fear which makes us want to control. Yet when we trust, so you could say that trust is the opposite of fear. When we trust, there can be no fear. And this is why it's crucial that we put our life in the hands of God, that we trust that God is orchestrating things, looking after us, providing for us, guiding us, steering us to where we need to go, and providing for us. And ideally, we want to develop complete trust in God, complete faith in God, that no matter what happens, we rely on Him, we lean on Him. We don't lean upon our own understanding, as the Bible says. We don't try and defeat the enemies outside. What we need to do is be guarded, because people will try and hurt us. So we need to have protection. It says in the Bible, the breastplate, put on the breastplate of God, or the armour of God, something along those lines. And we need this protection, that things which people throw at us, which they want to hurt us, that they don't touch us, because the enemies aren't out there. They're not our enemies. They're just people in pain. They're just people with their own stuff, their own issues, their own traumas and regrets and troubles and woes. They are not the enemy. And so it is very important that we are strong enough, again it comes back to strength, that we're strong enough to not absorb these insults or absorb the things which are thrown at us. It's very important that we are strong enough to keep our focus on God and on the message that God's put in our heart. God's given us a mission, and it's usually a creative mission. It involves some kind of creativity, because we're creative beings and we love to be creative. It's innate in every human being, creativity. And once you tap into your creative gift, then you won't want to waste your time arguing with others and debating others. You know, some people just want to get you back into this realm of judgment, argument, criticism, conflict. In fact, the ego, when it works through other people, the ego just wants to do that. The ego just wants to drag you into its lair so that it can take your energy and distract you from where you need to be, which is in contact with your passion, your enthusiasm, and your power and your strength. And of course, it's very important to recognize that all power comes from God. So when we open our heart to God and we trust God, then we receive God's power. We are empowered by the force of life and love and goodness itself. So we've got to stop distracting ourselves, because the enemy in here wants you distracted. It wants you focusing on what other people are doing, or what's happening in the world, or what other people are saying. It wants you judging others, criticizing others. It just wants you in its realm, so that you are not paying attention to where God awaits you, to where freedom awaits you, to where healing awaits you. All these things await you. Everything you need awaits you. You've got to tune in to the right channel. You've got to listen to the right voice. And feel. Stop thinking, start feeling. And you may have noticed on my YouTube channel that I share a lot of movement and dance. It's so important to be strong in your body and to celebrate. It's so important. There's no quicker way to get out of this realm and into this realm than to celebrate. It's the best way and it's the most fun way. Of course, it's great to walk. I love to walk in the mountains. I love to be in nature. I love to play sports. I love to play football. You know, all these things are great. Celebration is the best. Dancing, singing, celebrating. It really generates joy. And joy is very, very important. It says in Nehemiah in the Bible, the joy of the Lord is your strength. And we get so much strength from joy. I say it in almost every video, but joy is like a rocket booster, which propels you as far away as it's possible to get from the realm of negativity, the realm of conflict and confusion and judgment and negative energy, you could say. Joy is the propellant which takes you as far as it's possible to get from that realm into your heart, into this realm of light, into the heavenly realm, you could say, where angels play. And you can be there, by the way, anytime you want. You can find yourself in the heavenly realm anytime you want. Now, of course, we're not used to being able to make this choice. It's usually not something we're consciously able to do. We can't just say, oh yeah, I've had enough now of all the negativity and pessimism. I'm going to go and be joyful and happy. For most people, it's not easy to flick a switch and do that. And that's why I create these videos. I'm going to share another video with you in just a minute as the second part of this video. Because we need help. We need help to jump, to leap away from this realm of confusion, darkness, criticism, judgment, pain, anger, negativity. We need to jump. We need to get out of there as quickly as possible and jump into this realm of feeling good again, feeling empowered, perceiving the sense of light in our mind and in our heart. It's very simple. It is actually very simple. But you've got to be willing to do something different. It's not going to happen by just you watching another YouTube video and thinking and, furnishing your ivory tower. That's not going to happen. You've got to do something with your body. You've got to change your energy. You've got to generate energy in your body. Your heart is like a generator, and it can generate the most amazing sense of joy and liberation and freedom and passion, and it can generate that for you if you just switch it on. So the second part of this video is to help you switch on that generator so that you can be propelled away from this tedious, predictable realm of thoughts and ideas and judgment and the mental realm. We don't belong there. We don't want to live there. It's so cold. It doesn't give us anything except more ideas, more knowledge. It just keeps us here. And we need to experience this. The heavenly realm, the kingdom of heaven, which awaits us in our heart. The freedom, the joy, the celebration. Why would we choose anything less? So right now you have an opportunity to choose to be there, to access the heavenly realm. And I strongly recommend that you participate in the next 11 minutes. It's 11 minutes of music, and all you have to do is jump around. Treat it like an aerobics class. Just jump around for 11 minutes. That's it. If you feel like dancing, then dance. If you feel like moving your body vigorously in any way you want to, if you've got a little small trampoline that you like to bounce on, whatever, just participate in the next 11 minutes. Because I've been working on this for, many years, 15, 20 years, on developing the quickest way for us to escape that realm, escape the confusion, the darkness, the negativity, the lack of energy, the despondency, the hopelessness. There's no time to waste. We've got to get away from that realm. And so I've been developing this wonderful, liberating and enjoyable method. And it's not a technique. It's just a way to bring more light into your heart. It's God's favorite way of bringing light into your heart. It's celebration. It's as simple as that. So please celebrate with me in the next 10 minutes. And just jump around, because the music will do the rest. I choose very uplifting music, very positive music, music that wants to get your body moving, music that your body will find it hard not to move to, energizing music. It's old school dance music, very joyful, piano music. It's very uplifting. I've been DJing for about 25 years, and I love uplifting music because it just flicks the switch like nothing else. So I really want you to enjoy this, participate, please. Because if you don't, then all I've given you is just a little bit of enthusiasm, a few ideas, some more words. But what you really need is that rocket booster. You need that rocket fuel to propel you so that you can understand what more there is. Because until you experience it, until you're there, until you're in that realm of more energy, more light, more joy, more freedom, then you don't know it's there. Or it's just some distant memory from when you were younger, when you used to go celebrating and partying, or, it's just a memory. It's got to be an experience. It's very, very important for your heart to be regularly elevated This is part of the rapture. I made a video recently called The Rapture, and it's a heart which needs to be lifted up into the heavenly realms. It's a heart which needs to be elevated so that it no longer dwells in the shadows, it no longer dwells in the darkness, but it experiences the heavenly realm where angels play, where God can communicate to us directly. God doesn't communicate. God's favourite way of communicating with us is not words. His favourite way of communicating with us is power, energy and joy. And you will have the opportunity to experience this if you participate in the next 11 minutes. So please do take part, and then you'll understand what all this is about. And I recommend that you do this at least twice a week, because there's so much going on in the world, and it's going to get worse in the media. It's going to look a lot darker and worse in the media over the next few months and obviously years. The media is going to really do its best to pull us into the darkness, pull us into pessimism and negativity, to pull us back into this dystopian mindset, that's been carefully curated by all the TV programs and all the news. It's curating a dystopian mindset of hopelessness and pessimism and fear. And a dystopia relies on people having this hopeless outlook on the world, this bleak outlook on reality. A dystopia depends on that. You cannot have a dystopia with happy, joyful, free people. It's impossible. So this, you could say, is the antidote to dystopia. This is the antidote to the gravitational pull that the media is trying to create to pull us into negativity and pessimism. This is the antidote. This is the propellant, the rocket booster will take you into the heavenly realm. So I recommend you do this at least twice a week, more if you need. Either do it in the morning or do it at the end of the day, at sunset, whenever you can. Put the music on, put your speakers on, put your headphones in, and just move your body vigorously. Breathe deeply, get the blood flowing, move as much of your body as you can, move all your limbs, move vigorously, and really let the joy build up. And the rest can't really be put into words. You have to experience it for yourself. And as I said, I've been tailoring this specific way of moving closer to God for many, many years. And I would say I've perfected it. So please take part, experience what it's all about. And I wish you well. Enjoy. And I'll speak to you next time. Thank you.